All right, guys. Standard 10 is all about solving log equations, okay? So go ahead and jot down the first example. We're just going to go through several different types of these equations. So I think the hardest thing for you guys is just knowing what to do when. You just have to be able to recognize a problem and which strategy is going to be the most useful for you. So go ahead and jot down number 1, and then we'll go through that. All right, guys, so we've got log base 2 of 7x minus 6 equals 3. This is one where, do you guys see how it's just a log on one side and a number on the other, right? That's when it's easiest to just rewrite it as an exponential equation. So what would your exponential equation be? Yeah, what do you think?
7x minus 6 equals 2 to the 3rd.
Yes, 7x minus 6 equals 2 to the 3rd. Guys, remember, if you need to, you can think through exponentiating each side. Otherwise, you can just go, okay, yeah, I know the base is 2. I can rewrite it because 3 is the exponent. So you can go from there. Hopefully, that is now an equation that doesn't look too complicated to solve. So I've got 7x minus 6 equals 8. I can add my 6. Divide by 7. So x equals 2 is my first answer. So if you want to jot down kind of like what strategy we used, I would just say rewrite as exponential for that one. Try again. Jot down number 2. So that's 2 times log base 6 of x equals log base 6 of 16. Does it look different than the first one? Yeah, right? We can't rewrite this as an exponential, can we? No, you have logs on both sides. So what you can do is condense as much as possible on each side, which all I have to do on this one is move the exponent back where it belongs. So it's log base 6 of x squared equals log base 6 of 16. And then since it's a log base 6 on both sides, what do you think I could write as my equation? Right, x squared has to equal 16 for this to work. So what is x going to equal? Is it just 4 or is it plus or minus 4? Okay, so normally when you solve, you would absolutely do plus or minus, right? Do they both work with logs, though? Now, let's think about it. Can I take the log, you don't have to write this one down, but let's say I tried to evaluate that. Can I have the log base 2 of negative 8? That's saying 2 to some exponent is negative 8. Will that ever happen? No. That's why on your graphs, guys, remember, it's kind of like this. That's why the domain was only 0 to infinity. Okay, because you can't take the log of a negative. So for this one, if you happen to forget your plus or minus, that's good for you. All right, so it's just positive 4. So your strategy here, you need to get a single log on each side. make sure they have the same base, because it only works for the same base. And then you can, I realize them is not a very descriptive term, but do you know what I mean? Set that part equal. What's your strategy for that one? Okay, through 2? So we've got log base 6 of x plus 3 plus log base 6 of x plus 4 equals 1. Any thoughts as to where we should start? Yeah, what do you think we should condense? Condense, yes. We're going to go ahead and condense. I see a plus in between my 2 logs, so what does that mean? Multiply. So this is really log base 6 of x plus 3 times x plus 4 equals 1. So now, which of our first 2 strategies do you want to use? Are there logs on both sides? No, so I probably don't want to use the one with logs on both sides, okay? Could I rewrite it as an exponential? Yes. What's that equation going to be? Go ahead.
6 to the first equals x plus 3 times x plus 4.
Perfect. 6 to the first equals x plus 3 times x plus 4. Now it's back to just an algebra equation. So this is just 6 equals x squared plus 7x plus 12. So to solve my quadratic, I need a 0 on one side. So I've really got x squared plus 7x plus 6. And then what does that factor into? Good. So what are my 2 potential solutions? And -1. Now we got to figure out, do they both work? Do neither of them work? Only one of them work? How do I check? Like, they're both negative numbers, but that right away doesn't just eliminate them. Where do I check? Yeah, you have to plug it in. Go back to the very original equation. Plug them in here. So if I do -6 plus 3, that's a negative, right? Okay, don't even bother checking it in the other. It doesn't work here, so you have to throw it out. So we're done with -6. Check -1. What's -1 plus 3? 2, so that's okay. What about -1 plus 4? That's okay. So cross out the -6, but the -1 definitely works. Okay. You want to jot down a strategy, condense, and then you can use the first approach we use, where you're rewriting it as an exponential. questions so far, guys? Should need more time on that. Sorry. You ready? Jot down number 4 here. Parentheses matter on this one. This one looks different, right? Not only does it have natural logs, but it's not just logs that we can condense or rewrite as an exponential. What if I gave you the problem x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0? Like, what if I gave you that equation? Could you solve that? Yes, what would you do? Factor. What does it factor into? Perfect. X minus 6, x plus 2, and you'd go from there, right? Okay. Our problem is the same problem, but instead of just x's, what do I have? Natural log of x. So it will factor, but instead of x minus 6, it's going to be natural log of x minus 6. And natural log of x plus 2. Do you guys see it? See how it's factoring? Okay. John, you look skeptical. I'm sure. All right, I'm not done yet. I just want to make sure we're okay to that point. What do I do with my factors at that point? Not yet. What would you do for the kind of green color? Like, from there, what would you do?
Solve it.
Okay, how would you solve it?
Like, add both sides, I guess. We get that x equals 0.
Yeah, set the factors equal to 0 and then add the 6, or yes. So we have to set our factors equal to 0. And then you're trying to isolate wherever the x is. We're going to add 6. So I'll say natural log of x equals 6. And then over here, natural log of x equals -2. But that's still not x equals. It's natural log of x equals. Could I rewrite this? Yeah, what do you think, Katie? Yeah, exponentiate both sides. What am I going to be left with then? E to the 6th? Yeah. And that's an answer, guys. That's just a number. So e to the 6 equals x. And what about the other one? E to the what? -2. Now, is that one okay? Is e to the -2 a negative number? No. What does the negative exponent mean? Fraction. Okay, so that's really just 1 over e squared. So that's fine. You can certainly have that as an answer. Okay? That one's kind of weird. So factor and then rewrite as an exponential. Let's try another one of those. I want you guys to try this one. Same idea, I just want to make sure you got it. Factor. log of x. Squared. All right, guys, if I factor this, guys walking around, it looked like most of you did really well with this one. E to the sixth and e to the negative first, or you could write 1 over e. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Like I can read your mind.
All right, so we okay with that one? We get the factoring, and you recognize it by that one. Like, this is one thing to look for, is that being in parentheses squared. Okay, it's a little different. All right. Try this one. 3 to the x equals 15. You didn't miss anything. All right, guys, phones away. Jot it down. Did you ever write that in?
Yeah, whatever. You'll just have the grade today.
All right, guys, so 3 to the x equals 15. Can I make the bases match? No, I cannot. So I can't use the strategy we were using a couple standards ago. I have to do something else. So there's a few approaches. If you recognize it as, I can just rewrite this as a log, go for it. If not, let me walk you through another strategy here. We're going to actually take the log or natural log of both sides of our equation. You can do just common log of both sides. You could do log base 3 of both sides. You could do log base 72 if you really wanted to. I usually do natural log because it's 2 letters instead of 3 to write all the time. Honestly, that's it. I'm just like, it's faster. So I'm going to take the natural log of both sides. Where does that x end up going then?
In the front.
Front, yes. So I really have x natural log of 3 equals the natural log of 15. So how do I get x by itself? Divide, yeah. So x is natural log of 15 over the natural log of 3. No, you cannot divide the 15 and the 3, okay? That's your answer. Other ways that you could end up with this written. Do you guys see how that's the same as the change of base that we were doing at the beginning of class? So that's actually log base 3 of 15. I would take that. You could have had log of 15 over log of 3. That would work. Lots of different things are okay here. Questions on solving that one? It's really short. You don't have to write all the different varieties of answers, but I will look for all of them when I'm grading things for you. So strategy there, rewrite it as the log or take the log or natural log of each side. I think that's what you're doing. let's look at that again, but with a slightly more complicated one. So that's 6 to the x plus 3. Equals 5 to the 2x plus 1. Okay, so first, always look, can I make my bases match? No, okay. I'm gonna do natural log of both sides. So where does the exponent come? In front. Put it in parentheses. That entire x plus 3 is your exponent. And the whole thing, 2x plus 1, is your exponent. All right, I can then distribute. So this is really x natural log of 6 plus 3 natural log of 6 equals 2x natural log of 5 plus natural log of 5. Does that make sense what I did? Okay. Distributed, even though it's written after the parentheses, it's still the same idea. All right, now remind yourself here, what am I solving for? X. So I want to get everything with an x on one side. So I'm going to leave the x natural log of 6 there. Then I'm going to write minus 2x natural log of 5. Okay, I'm bringing that over from the other side. Then equals natural log of 5 and minus 3 natural log of 6. I'm just moving stuff around there. What can you factor out on the left? An x. That's convenient because that's what we're solving for, right? Okay, so take an x out. That would leave me with natural log of 6 minus 2 natural log of 5. You're just dividing an x out of those terms. So then how do I get to my final answer of just x equals something? How do I get rid of that whole thing?
Divide.
Yeah, divide. So I've got natural log of 5 minus 3 natural log of 6 over natural log of 6 minus 2 natural log of 5. And that is your answer. Now, there are other ways you could write that. I am completely fine with you stopping there. If you want it to be more simplified, you just have to use your properties and do some condensing. So I would also take the natural log of 5 divided by 6 cubed over the natural log of 6 over 5 squared. You guys see what I did? Yeah, just condense, that's fine. You could actually multiply that out. I don't really feel like doing that, but you certainly could and get single values. You could use change of base. I don't really expect you to go any farther than the first answer though. Are we okay with that? Okay, that's the end of notes. so we've got about 10 minutes here. Let's do bluffing game just so we get a couple practice ones in. So guys, just split down the middle. You guys are the right, you guys are the left. Ashton, just do the homework side of the homework. I know that sounds weird, but. All right, guys, so all of these are going to be solving problems. So find your marker. Okay. It didn't erase. Oh, okay. You can grab a marker for that. All right, guys, both sides do it, and then I'll call on one of you. This one should not take you long. You what? You blanked? Uh-oh.
Everyone's better.
Let's go left side first today. That's you guys on the left over here. Stand up. Don't show me yet. Don't show me yet. Okay, 12 points. Go ahead, Sam. Let's see. 13. Beautiful.
You never call on any of us back here.
I'm sorry. I'll change that. Okay. When you're all standing up, I can't see who's standing. All right, everybody okay with how that's 13? Rewrite it. 2 to the 4th equals x plus 3. That's 16. 13. Yes? Okay. Try again. Let's do the natural log of x to the 4th equals 5. I would recommend you use your properties first. Both sides should do it, guys. Couple different routes you can take on this one.
Everyone wish they were doing fun. Let's see.
Right side, are you ready? No.
I
Okay.
cut one. No.
Yeah, okay. So,
This is the exponent.
Okay, right side, stand up.
That's right.
Alright, Lily, what'd you get?
You can ask me.
Yes, E to the 5 force. Very good.
Okay.
Alright.
So we have this.
Here's what I think is the easiest route on that one.
We have.
The exponent can go in front, right? Divide by it,
Okay, no.
and then just rewrite it e to the 5 fourths. You know, you're exponentiating both sides. There you go. Okay? Alright. Let's do 3 to the x minus 1 equals 2 to the 2x plus 5. This one will take you a minute. I think this one's harder than the last one. I tried to give 2 fairly easy ones to start with. Tootie.
Oh, got it.
You're done with it already?
John, you doing it?
How are you done with that already? Emma, your face does not look super confident or happy. You look very skeptical of this problem.
Chill out. You did not. I saw you do that. Oh, I got it. Oh, means
You guys, a little more time here.
Oh my gosh, I need more time. I need more time.
We're still working.
This one takes a little while. Wait.
John, you got it.
Don't talk.
I can carry.
There we go. I am 110
Oh my god.
is being exerted.
The big probably gone. I did it.
All right, guys, we're running out of time. So left side, stand up.
Wait.
Uh-oh. Okay, 1, 2, 5. Remember, it's called the bluffing game.
Watch this.
6, 7, 8, 9. All right, Colin, what you get? Try again.
You got it.
I got no way.
Got no answer.
Can you phone a friend? No.
Yeah.
Oh, right side can steal.
Just devastated.
You got it,
I almost
Anna?
worked just on my phone. I looked like I was struggling. I was struggling to call on me. So I got it right.
Yes.
Pro strap.
Oh my God. Right side makes a
It
comeback.
worked. It worked. It was really
Right side wins, guys. We're out of time. The answer was 5 natural log of 2 plus natural log of 3 all over natural log of 3 minus 2 natural log of 2.
Let's go.
I mean, the negatives have to be in the right place, but down. Alright guys, homework. Just do the homework standard 10. It's just the front of the paper, okay? Yeah. No, it's very weird in here with temperature.